When giants came calling. The morning sky over Geneva had been clear and blue until the shadows fell. Captain Elena Vasquez was reviewing defense protocols in the United Earth Command Center when the first reports came in from the lunar observation stations. Massive objects were approaching from deep space, moving at speeds that defied known physics. Within 6 hours, 17 colossal ships hung in Earth's orbit like metallic storm clouds. Each vessel stretched over 50 kilometers in length, their dark hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The largest ship positioned itself directly above the European continent, casting an artificial twilight over millions of people below. Elena stood at the command center's main display, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. At 45, she had served through the water wars and the Antarctic conflict, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The screens around her showed the same impossible sight from different angles. Humanity was no longer alone, and their visitors had not come in peace. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission," reported Communications Officer Sarah Kim, her voice tight with tension. "It's coming from the largest vessel." "Put it through," Elena commanded, though every instinct told her she would not like what she was about to hear. The main screen flickered, then displayed a being that was clearly not human. The creature stood nearly 3 meters tall, with pale yellow skin that seemed to shimmer like oil. Its face was angular, with 2 large black eyes that held no warmth. Most disturbing were the 4 arms that ended in clawed hands, and the way it seemed to look directly through the screen at Elena herself. Primitive beings of the third planet, the alien spoke in perfect English, though its mouth movements suggested it was speaking another language entirely. "I am Admiral Crickstall of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 72 of your hours to surrender all military assets and governmental authority. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your planet." The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Elena felt her heart racing, but forced her voice to remain steady. "Get me the President, the UN Secretary General, and every defense minister on the planet. Now." Across the city, Dr. Marcus Chen was having a very different reaction to the alien arrival. The 53-year-old xenobiologist had spent his entire career studying the possibility of extraterrestrial life. While others panicked, Marcus saw opportunity. He rushed to his laboratory at the International Institute for Advanced Studies, his mind already racing with questions. "Computer, begin recording," he said as he entered his lab. "First contact has been established. The beings appear to be what we might classify as Type Io civilization, based on their apparent faster-than-light travel capabilities. However, their approach suggests aggressive territorial expansion rather than peaceful contact protocols." Marcus pulled up every piece of data the satellites had managed to gather about the alien ships. Energy signatures, hull composition estimates, propulsion readings. It was all here, waiting to be analyzed. As a scientist, he knew that every technology had weaknesses. Even these seemingly godlike beings must have limitations. Dr. Chen, his assistant Jennifer, called from across the lab. "The government is evacuating all major research facilities. We're supposed to report to the emergency bunkers." "Not yet," Marcus replied, his eyes never leaving the data streams. "Give me 30 minutes. There's something here that doesn't add up." High above the Pacific Ocean, Lieutenant Jake Morrison flew his F-35 Lightning I fighter in formation with 11 other aircraft. The 28-year-old pilot had always dreamed of flying among the stars, but not like this. His radio crackled with nervous chatter from other pilots as they maintained a careful distance from the alien vessels. "Black Squadron, maintain formation," came the voice of Squadron Leader Patricia Wong. "We're observation only unless directly threatened." Jake studied the alien ship through his canopy. Even from 50 kilometers away, the thing was massive beyond comprehension. Its surface seemed to ripple with unknown energy patterns, and he could see smaller craft moving around it like insects around a hive. His fighters' instruments were going crazy, detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist. Squadron leader, Jake reported, I'm reading power outputs that are off the charts. Whatever's powering those things, it's not like anything we've ever seen. Copy that, Morrison. Stay sharp, people. We may be humanity's eyes and ears up here. Back in Geneva, the emergency session of world leaders had been going for 8 hours. Elena watched from the security briefing room as presidents, prime ministers, and generals argued via video conference. Some advocated immediate surrender to save lives. Others demanded they fight regardless of the odds. President Rebecca Thompson of the United States leaned forward on her screen. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Do we have any intelligence on their capabilities beyond what they've shown us? Elena spoke up. Ma'am, our analysis suggests their ships use some form of quantum manipulation for both propulsion and weaponry. Dr. Chen at the International Institute believes he's found something significant in their energy signatures. Then get him here, President Thompson ordered. If there's even a chance we can mount a defense, we need to explore it. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen had made a breakthrough that would change everything. Hidden in the complex energy readings from the alien ships, he had found a pattern that repeated every 17 minutes and 43 seconds. It was subtle, lasting only 0.7 seconds each time. But during those moments, the ship's energy outputs dropped by 12%. It's a vulnerability, he whispered to himself. They're not invincible. Marcus immediately began calculating what it would take to exploit this weakness. Conventional weapons wouldn't work, but if they could coordinate a strike during one of these brief windows, with enough firepower concentrated in the right way, they might actually damage one of the ships. His hands shook as he compiled his findings. This information could mean the difference between extinction and survival for the human race. As the 72-hour deadline approached, the world held its breath. In major cities, people gathered in the streets, some praying, others simply watching the sky. The alien ships remained motionless in orbit, silent and threatening. Elena stood before the assembled world leaders for what might be humanity's final decision. Dr. Chen had briefed them on his discoveries, and military strategists had rapidly developed attack plans based on his findings. The window was small, and they would only get one chance. The question before us, Elena said, is not whether we can win a conventional war against these beings. We cannot. The question is whether we choose to live on our knees or die on our feet. If we surrender, we become slaves to an empire that has likely done this to dozens of other worlds. If we fight, we may fail, but we'll fail as free beings. The vote was closer than anyone expected. But when the final tally came in, humanity had chosen defiance. With 1 hour remaining before the deadline, Elena composed Earth's response. It was simple and direct. Earth rejects your ultimatum. We will not kneel. The transmission was sent to all 17 alien ships simultaneously. The response came within minutes. Admiral Krixtal appeared on screens around the world, his black eyes now blazing with anger. So be it, the alien commander said. You have chosen extinction over wisdom. Your world will burn as an example to others who might consider resistance. The first attack came at dawn over the Pacific. Energy beams lanced down from the alien ships, striking military installations and major cities. But humanity was ready. As the aliens opened fire, Jake Morrison and 300 other pilots launched a coordinated strike on the largest vessel. Dr. Chen's calculations had been precise. As the alien ship's defenses momentarily weakened, human missiles and energy weapons struck with devastating effect. For the first time in Zephyrian history, one of their great ships shuddered under enemy fire. The explosion that followed lit up the sky like a second sun. The massive alien vessel, damaged beyond recovery, began falling toward Earth in a controlled descent that would end in the ocean rather than populated areas. Across the planet, the message was clear: the giants could bleed. In the command center, Elena watched as 16 alien ships remained in orbit, their energy readings spiking with what could only be described as rage. The war for Earth's freedom had begun, and humanity had drawn first blood. All units, she broadcast to military forces around the world. Operation Freedom Fire is now active. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. All units, she broadcast to military forces around the world. Operation Freedom Fire is now active. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. The response from Zephyrian Admiral Krixtall was swift and brutal. Energy bombardments rained down on major population centers, but humans had already begun evacuating to prepared shelters. Underground facilities that had been built for nuclear war now served as refuges from alien assault. As the first day of invasion ended, Marcus Chen worked feverishly in his underground laboratory. He had proven the aliens could be hurt, but destroying one ship at the cost of massive human casualties was not sustainable. They needed something more, something that could turn the tide. Looking at the wreckage data from the destroyed Zephyrian vessel, Marcus began to formulate a plan that was either brilliant or completely insane. The aliens' own technology might become their downfall, but implementing his idea would require sacrifices that would test the very limits of human courage. The battle for Earth's soul had only just begun. Fire spreads across the stars. 3 months after the first Zephyrian ship fell, Earth had become something no one expected. A graveyard of alien technology and the birthplace of an impossible rebellion. In the underground cities that now housed millions of survivors, Dr. Marcus Chen had achieved what most thought impossible. He had reverse-engineered Zephyrian technology. Elena Vasquez stood in the converted subway tunnel that now served as humanity's primary command center. The walls were lined with salvaged alien equipment, jury-rigged human computers, and displays showing the locations of remaining Zephyrian forces. Of the original 17 ships, 8 had been destroyed through coordinated strikes, using Marcus's discovery of their vulnerability windows. Status report, Elena commanded, though she knew the answer would be grim. Global population has decreased by 30%, reported Colonel Martinez, a stocky man whose uniform bore the scars of recent battles. But resistance cells are active on every continent. The Zephyrians control the surface, but they can't control the people underground. What the Zephyrians hadn't expected was humanity's capacity for adaptation. Every destroyed alien ship provided more technology to study, more weapons to reverse engineer, and more intelligence about their enemies. Marcus Chen had become humanity's most valuable asset, working 18-hour days to unlock the secrets of each new piece of wreckage. Dr. Chen, Elena called out, "Show them what you've discovered." Marcus approached the central display, his hair now completely gray from stress and lack of sleep. His latest discovery would either save humanity or doom them all. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been thinking too small. The Zephyrians aren't just threatening Earth. According to the data we've recovered, they've enslaved 47 different worlds over the past 2 centuries. The display lit up with a 3-dimensional map of local space, showing the locations of Zephyrian-controlled systems. Red dots marked conquered worlds, while blue lines showed the paths of the Imperial fleet. But here's what's most interesting. Marcus continued, highlighting specific planets. Several of these worlds show signs of ongoing resistance. The Zephyrians haven't been as successful as they want us to believe. They're stretched thin across dozens of systems, maintaining control through fear rather than overwhelming force. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, now bearing the scars of 6 aerial battles against alien fighters, stepped forward. "What are you suggesting, Doc?" Marcus smiled grimly. "I'm suggesting we take the fight to them. Not just here on Earth, but to their home worlds. We strike at the heart of their empire." The room fell silent. The idea was audacious beyond belief. Humanity had barely managed to defend one planet, and now Marcus was proposing they attack an interstellar empire. Elena studied the star map, her tactical mind already working through the possibilities. "Explain how this would work." "The quantum tunneling effect they use for faster-than-light travel," Marcus said, pulling up technical specifications. I've cracked it. Not only can we replicate it, but I believe we can improve on it. The Zephyrians have become complacent with their technology. They haven't innovated in centuries. Over the following weeks, Marcus's team worked to construct humanity's first interstellar vessels. They weren't large or impressive like the Zephyrian ships. Instead, they were fast, stealthy, and designed for one purpose: getting human forces to enemy territory before the aliens could react. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Jennifer Walsh, Marcus's assistant, had been studying the communication frequencies used by the Zephyrian fleet. "Dr. Chen," she said excitedly, "I think I know why they're vulnerable every 17 minutes. It's not a weakness in their shields. It's a communication sync with their home fleet." Marcus looked at the data Jennifer had compiled. "You're saying they're checking in with command?" "Exactly. And if we can trace those signals..." Jennifer began entering calculations into the computer. "We can find their home system," Marcus finished. "Jennifer, you might have just given us the coordinates to end this war." The plan that emerged was desperate and brilliant in equal measure. Using the communication signals as a guide, human forces would launch simultaneous strikes on 3 key Zephyrian systems. Meanwhile, Earth's remaining defenders would coordinate their largest assault yet on the remaining alien ships in orbit. Elena addressed the assembled resistance leaders via encrypted communication. Representatives from every continent appeared on the screens around her. "This is our moment," she said, "not just for Earth, but for every world the Zephyrians have conquered. We're not just fighting for our survival anymore. We're fighting for the freedom of 47 enslaved species." The response was immediate and unanimous. Humanity would take the war to the stars. Jake Morrison found himself commanding one of the first interstellar strike forces in human history. The ship was barely large enough for 12 people, constructed from salvaged materials and powered by modified Zephyrian engines. As they prepared to enter quantum tunnel space, he couldn't help but marvel at how far humanity had come in just 4 months. Coordinates locked on the Zephyrian military headquarters at Crix Prime, reported Navigator Sarah Kim, now serving as Jake's second-in-command. Estimated travel time is 6 hours. The journey through quantum space was unlike anything Jake had experienced. Reality seemed to bend around their small ship as they traveled faster than light toward enemy territory. When they emerged, the sight before them was staggering. Crix Prime was a fortress world, its surface covered with military installations and orbital defense platforms. Massive Zephyrian warships patrolled the system, their hulls gleaming with the same dark metal as the ships that had attacked Earth. "Remember the mission," Jake told his team. "We're not here to win a battle. We're here to deliver a message." The small human fleet split into 3 groups, each targeting critical installations on the planet's surface. They moved fast, using their smaller size and superior maneuverability to avoid the larger alien vessels. When they struck, it was with precision and devastating effect. The message they left was simple but powerful, a broadcast on all Zephyrian frequencies showing footage of the rebellion on Earth, along with evidence of similar uprisings on other conquered worlds. The Zephyrian Empire was not invincible, and word of Earth's defiance was spreading. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elena coordinated the largest military operation in human history. Every remaining fighter, missile, and energy weapon was directed at the 8 Zephyrian ships still in orbit. But this time, they had an advantage the aliens didn't expect. Marcus had discovered how to extend the 17-minute vulnerability window. By broadcasting a modified version of the Zephyrian communication signal, they could force the alien ships into extended synchronization periods, leaving them vulnerable for up to 3 minutes at a time. The battle raged for 18 hours. 6 of the remaining alien ships were destroyed, their wreckage raining down into the oceans. The last 2, including Admiral Krixtal's flagship, retreated to the edge of the solar system, badly damaged. But the real victory came from space. Jake's mission to Crix Prime had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes. The broadcast from Earth had reached enslaved populations across the galaxy, and revolt was spreading like wildfire through the Zephyrian Empire. On the fourth day after the attack on Crix Prime, Admiral Crixtal appeared on Earth's communication networks one final time. The alien commander looked different now, smaller, somehow, and his black eyes held something that hadn't been there before. Fear. "Commander Vasquez of Earth," Crixtal said, "I request a meeting to discuss terms." Elena smiled grimly. "Admiral, the only terms we'll discuss are the complete withdrawal of Zephyrian forces from all occupied worlds and reparations for the damage you've caused." The alien admiral's image flickered with what might have been resignation. "You don't understand the forces you've unleashed. The Empire has stood for millennia. Without our order, chaos will consume the galaxy." "Then we'll build a new order," Elena replied, "one based on freedom instead of fear." The negotiations that followed lasted 3 weeks. The Zephyrian Empire, faced with rebellions on dozens of worlds, and their military forces scattered and demoralized, agreed to a complete withdrawal from conquered territories. More importantly, they signed a treaty establishing the Galactic Freedom Alliance, with Earth as one of its founding members. Dr. Marcus Chen stood on the observation deck of humanity's first interstellar station, watching as ships from 47 different worlds arrived for the Alliance's inaugural meeting. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were now free, and many credited humanity's stubborn refusal to kneel as the spark that ignited their own rebellions. "Remarkable," said Tikala, a representative of the Helix people, whose world had been one of the first liberated. The insectoid being's translation device rendered her chittering speech into perfect English. "Your species fought an impossible war and won through sheer determination." Marcus nodded, thinking of all those who had died to reach this moment. "We had something the Zephyrians never understood. We had everything to lose and nothing left to fear." Jake Morrison, now Admiral Morrison of the Alliance fleet, watched as the last Zephyrian warship jumped to hyperspace, heading back to their home territory. They had agreed to remain in their own sector of space, forbidden from expansion or conquest. The treaty would be enforced by the combined fleets of the Alliance. Elena Vasquez stood before the Alliance Council. Representatives of 47 free worlds gathered in the chambers built into the captured Zephyrian station that now served as their headquarters. She had been elected as the first president of the Galactic Freedom Alliance, a position she had never wanted but accepted out of duty. "Today marks not just the end of the Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror," she said to the assembled delegates, "but the beginning of a new age. An age where no world will stand alone against tyranny, where freedom is not a privilege to be granted, but a right to be defended." The cheers that erupted from the council chambers were heard across the galaxy. On 47 worlds, beings who had lived their entire lives under alien oppression celebrated their freedom. Children who had never seen the sky without enemy ships overhead looked up at stars that now belonged to all free peoples. Dr. Marcus Chen returned to Earth 6 months later to find a world transformed. The cities were being rebuilt, but they were different now, designed with the knowledge that humanity was part of a larger galactic community. Schools taught alien languages alongside human ones, and the night sky was filled with ships from dozens of different worlds, all flying under the banner of the Alliance. In his laboratory, Marcus worked on new projects now, not weapons of war, but tools of exploration and discovery. The quantum tunnel technology that had once carried human warriors to enemy worlds now carried scientists, diplomats, and traders to the stars. "Any regrets?" asked Jennifer Walsh, who had become his research partner and one of the leading experts on interstellar communication. Marcus looked out the window at the construction of humanity's first interstellar shipyard, where vessels designed for peace rather than war were taking shape. "About fighting? No. About taking so long to reach for the stars. Every day." The Zephyrian ultimatum had demanded that Earth kneel. Instead, humanity had risen to stand among the stars as equals with beings they had never dreamed existed. The fire of rebellion that began on one small blue planet had spread across the galaxy, burning away the chains of empire and lighting the way to a future where freedom rang from world to world. In the end, the Zephyrians had been right about one thing. Humanity's choice had indeed changed the galaxy forever, but not in the way they had intended. The species that refused to kneel had taught the galaxy how to stand tall.